bit more here now, Chip. What are we about to witness from this this spicy deck list from Xander? Well, I suppose Nathaniel first, of course, playing that Lugia.
Yeah, Nathaniel, there's really nothing special going on here. It's pretty standard as far as a Lugia deck is concerned. We've got
there is only one Luminion,
here.
I suppose.
Yeah, one Luminion as opposed to the two that we see from some people, but really about what you expect. On Xander's side, though, he's got a few interesting cards, one of them being the Aerodactyl V, which he has unfortunately prized in this first game here. So yeah, this is a super interesting innovation from Xander Perot, adding the 1/1 Aerodactyl V-Star to this deck for if you use that V-Star power, as long as that Aerodactyl remains in play, your opponent's Pokemon cannot use their abilities. Pokemon with rule boxes, I should say. So that's going to be your main strategy against the Lugia V-Star deck. You go first, kick down the Aerodactyl, evolve into V-Star turn 2, use that V-Star power, and shut that Summoning Star down completely. Going to be tough to do, though, if you're Xander and you've prized your Aerodactyl V. He does have an option, though, to get it out.
All right, here we go. Diving into the Swiss round 8, Nathaniel Dow versus Xander Perot. Starting over here on Xander's side with a Cramomatic into that Lost Vacuum. I believe it was successful there. And now, oh, maybe, nope, it was not. I was like, was the Battle VIP grabbed? But nope, that must have just been in hands because we're going in on that Battle VIP pass here to get some more Pokemon out onto the field. Of course, Xander is going to know just from this very first search that that Aerodactyl V is in the prize cards.
Yep, he does play one copy of Hisui and Heavy Ball, so there is a way to get the Aerodactyl V out. I mean, this deck is just crazy on Xander's side. He's got the 1/1 Aerodactyl V-Star, and he's also got a Manaphy in here. He's playing two basic Pokemon that are not Fusion Strike Pokemon.
Yeah, this deck pretty much builds itself off of these Fusion Strike Pokemon. Because of that Fusion Strike system off of that Genesect V, it allows you to draw into more cards for each Fusion Strike Pokemon that is in play on your board state. So putting in Pokemon into play that are not Fusion Strike Pokemon is sort of shutting your own draw engine down a little bit. So those must be very important Pokemon. Of course, in this matchup against Lugia, so if you're playing, if you're expecting to play against so many Lugias, it could be huge to get that Aerodactyl V-Star off. So of course, just prioritizing that over the draw support, but not in this case. We're not going to see it here. Over onto Nathaniel's side now for this first turn.
Yeah, I think considering the Aerodactyl's prize, Xander's turn is not the worst. He didn't get to utilize Fusion Strike system, so it's not as strong as what we've seen from Mew decks in the past, but just going to send it over to Nathaniel's side, who kicks it off with the Capture Energy.
Yep, Capture Energy, played from hand, so able to search out a basic Pokemon and put it straight down onto the bench. Dunsparce is also the active Pokemon here for Nathaniel, protecting your Lugias from weakness, from being taken down from that, but not going to be too applicable here. Of course, if you have to start it, you have to start it though. But Lugia V being put down onto the board here from Nathaniel with that Capture Energy. As we saw in our last game here, you need to get out Lugia and you need to get Archeops into the discard pile. And really anything else that you're able to do is just a plus after that point in time. Of course, Nathaniel is going second, so he is able to play a supporter card as well for the turn. And I believe I did see a Marnie in hand at the very least. So we might be seeing a supporter come down from Nathaniel as well for this turn.
Yeah, gotta imagine there's still plenty of play here for Nathaniel. Just a Lugia. Does need to go directly to the bench, but yep, sure enough, comes down, and there is a Marnie in hand. Also has Bird Keeper as an option, but I think Marnie is going to yield you more cards, so seems like a reasonable place to go. No Archeops down in the discard pile just yet.
Yep, so we are going to see that Marnie, so Nathaniel's going to draw 5 cards, Xander's going to draw 4, but, ooh, and those are pretty bad cards for Xander, I think, to draw into. I don't think I saw any discard options in there either, so that could be a very sticky situation for Xander to be in. Nathaniel, on the other hand, drew into 2 Lugia V-Stars, I believe, a Quick Ball, an Ultra Ball, and I think that's the Luminion, the only one that is in the deck. There's no Double Fish here for Nathaniel in this deck, but just a pass over to Xander now. And, oh, I think that was a top deck Rotom Phone potentially that we just saw. So able to look at the top 5 cards there, choose one from that and put it at the top of your deck.
Yeah, the cost of playing some cards like Aerodactyl and, Manaphy, Hisuian Heavy Ball, Big Charm, cards that you don't normally see in the Mew deck means that your draws can be a little clunkier, and Xander hasn't been able to set up super well just yet. We are going to see Boss's Orders, though, off of the Lugia, and now Fusion Strike System will draw a couple. Ultra Ball can ditch these other 2 cards in hand, and if Xander's able to find a Switch card and a Mew VMAX, he actually could knock out this Lugia this turn since Power Tablet's been played.
Yeah, that Power Tablet is in play here, so definitely serve 2 purposes there, being able to be discarded to draw more cards, as well as boosting that damage output from Xander's Pokemon as well. So that is huge. We're going to see the Mew VMAX come down now from Xander, which is also huge for this turn.
And I like this decision from Xander. Grab the Mew VMAX now. Maybe if he had another Genesect, you would go after that, but he's actually prized 2 Genesects in this game. So by getting the Mew VMAX now off of these 3 cards from your second Fusion Strike system, all you need is either a Switch or a double Turbo Energy, and then you can retreat the active Genesect. So 3 cards to come. We'll see if he can make it happen.
All right, we're going to see that Fusion Strike system for 3.
It's sort of a Switch.
Yeah, it's an escape rope.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what it is here from Xander.
The
sort of a Switch.
Yeah,
not the Switch you want.
It'll force Nathaniel to push the Dunsparce. And so Xander's maybe even kicking himself here, wishing that he had not played the boss, because if he draws Escape Rope and doesn't play boss, he's in a fine spot. But for now, it's just going to have to be play down to 1 card, put the Lost City down, and goodbye, Dunsparce.
Yeah, goodbye into the Lost Zone, Dunsparce. Check you later. That Lost City definitely comes in for some particular matchups, particularly like Reggie. You could Lost City some of the Reggies and put them in a difficult position. But yeah, any Pokemon that goes down while that Lost City is in play, either you or your opponent goes into the Lost Zone. So Lost Zone now at 1 for Nathaniel. And going into an Ultra Ball, having to discard one of those Lugia V-Star, there were 2 in hand, and a Quick Ball as well. So not a lot to work with here for Nathaniel's hand on this side, but at least able to get out that Archeops and then hopefully be able to discard it. We are going to see, here we go, a Lumineon V come down, search out a supporter from the deck.
Yep, this is going to be pretty nice. Can get the research out, discard the hand, draw 7. That puts 1 Archeops down into the discard pile. Now, it is possible for Nathaniel to knock out this Mew. It is unlikely, but it is possible. It does require you to have it requires you to have 3 powerful colorless energy and a choice belt. That gets you to 310 damage exactly, since Xander does not have Oricorio in play.
Yep, unless I guess that Big Charm somehow comes down from Xander's side at some point in time. But yeah, that's true. If Nathaniel can line up all of that, it's a big ask, but it is possible. Quick Ball here on the Archeops to put that into the discard pile. It's exactly what Nathaniel wanted to see here. From that 7 cards off the Professor's Research, a way to discard another Archeops and get both Archeops into play off of that Summoning Star.
So with 2 Archeops down, the powerful energies are taken care of, but I don't think I saw the draw of the Choice Belt. And sure enough, there are still 2 Choice Belt remaining in the deck. So Nathaniel is not going to have the option to get the 1-hit knockout here. Does have a couple of Aurora energies in the hand, and is he actually even just failing this Quick Ball potentially?
I think so. That's what it's looking like. No, going and grabbing that Evital out, putting it onto the bench here. We just saw this play out between our Lugia Mirror in our last game. Very similar Pokemon. I think it's like pretty much all the same Pokemon here in Nathaniel's deck that we saw in that last
pretty standard
match.
Lineup here.
Yeah, this is definitely a standard Lugia list. So all of those alternate attackers are in play here, I believe, except for that Raikou. I don't think there is a Raikou. Oh, no, there is.
Yep.
There's one Raikou as well. Yeah, so we're going to see all very similar Pokemon here from Nathaniel. So alternate attackers are able to be powered up by those Archeops and played into this matchup. And Xander's going to have to work around that.
We'll see. Primal Turbo can grab 2 energies out of the deck here, and Nathaniel can at least hit this Mew pretty hard, but it's not going to be enough to take the KO, unfortunately.
At least looking at what energy are in the deck as well, making sure to keep track of those. 2 powerful energy going down onto that Lugia. V Star.
Yep.
You know, Tempest Dive's base attack 2 is 220 damage, as well as allowing you to discard a Stadium 2 from the Tempest Dive, so that Lost City can be kicked out of there if Nathaniel wants as well. But we will see what the second Archeops is going to do here as far as energy attachment goes. It's going to be a V-Guard and a Capture Energy.
Yeah, so Xander's probably breathing a sigh of relief here, knowing, okay, my Mew is not going to be KO'd. If my opponent had put another powerful energy, I'd maybe be a little bit more concerned. But yeah, my Mew is not going down. So if Xander's going to make it through this turn, you know, he's feeling pretty decent about the spot. It is definitely still tough. He's not gotten very well set up. Nathaniel is going to attach an energy to the Eviltal. Very nice to try to prep that for a future amazing destruction. And we will see the Tempest Dive deals 260 damage, and we'll actually choose to discard the Lost City.
All right, so Lost City is down to 60 onto that Mew VMAX, and now we're over here on Xander's side of the board. Mew V going into play onto that bench. A power tablet being played here from Xander and straight into that Fusion Strike system off of the Genesect V to draw into a couple more cards. I believe it was 3 from Xander here. We are going to see a Rotom Phone, so first 5, you get to choose 1, put it at the top, and if you're able to draw into that as well. We do see the Hisuian Heavy Ball being the one put at the top here for Xander. So if that is able to be drawn into, we could see that Aerodactyl being pulled out of the prize cards, but now it's too little too late.
Yeah, I don't think Aerodactyl's going to make an appearance in this game. I think that if you're going with the Hisuian Heavy Ball here, it's definitely just to get one of those Genesects out of the prizes.
Yeah,
so
oh yeah, no, that's huge.
He can keep drawing cards.
I forgot there's 2 Genesects in the prizes. So one of your most important Pokemon in this deck. Yeah, because that is going to allow Xander to draw even more cards off the Fusion Strike system. And that is your main draw engine. Actually, really, it's like your only draw engine besides your supporters for this deck. So that is huge here for Xander.
Yep, it looks like the third Genesect will come down. Xander does have a few cards to potentially thin out of his hand here if he wants to. Ultra Ball and Quick Ball potentially. Could at least Quick Ball away a card to draw a little bit more here. He cannot attack with this active Mew right now because it attacked last turn with the Technoblast.
The Technoblast. Yep. Yeah, that's definitely a very important part of this deck. The Mew VMAX is copying attacks of other Pokemon on the field here. So Cross Fusion Strike allows you to use Technoblast off of that Genesect V for 210 base damage, unless you bump that up with some power tablets. But it doesn't allow you to attack again on the next turn unless you have some sort of switch out that removes that effect on that Mew VMAX.
So we do see the draw of the double Turbo Energy and a Mew VMAX, but both of these Mew V were put down this turn. I don't think Xander has played a supporter just yet, and I do think he drew into a Judge, something that he plays a few copies of. Yeah,
something that's been popularized in the newest Mew deck list, because people opting to play Judge versus Marnie because it doesn't allow, or it allows you to shuffle both players' hands and draw into 4 cards, I believe, for both players, versus shuffling your hand, putting it at the bottom, and then your opponent draws into 4, you draw into 5. So you're putting your opponent at an even worse position sometimes because all of those cards that are in hand are just being shuffled back into the deck as well.
Yeah, Judge has been around here and there pretty much since 2010. It originally got printed there, and it got played a little bit, and then it came back in Breakthrough, got played a little bit, and now it comes back in Fusion Strike, and it's played a little bit. There's just other disruption options that are a bit stronger in the format, but it does still have a place here, and it works out nicely in the Mew deck.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Oh, and Xander does find the switch.
Here we go. Nice. That is a huge grab off of the deck there from that Judge. We're going to see the switch back into that Mew VMAX, which does allow it to unlock another Cross Fusion Strike, utilizing, again, that Technoblast, if wanted by Xander.
Yeah, we may see a Psychic Leap here even, potentially.
I also think there's a Power Tablet in play already, right, for Xander too.
He's just going to do as much damage as possible here. I think this makes sense as well. Xander doesn't necessarily mind this Mew VMAX going down, because if it gets knocked out, that opens up his ability to play Roxanne.
Very true, yeah. If you put your opponent down those prize cards, it puts them even in an even worse position. Really, this Mew VMAX is built around so much disruption. There's so many cards that it plays now, the Aerodactyl V-Star being one of them in the early game. But yeah, so many cards. Path to the Peak as well is being slotted in this deck. The Judge, the Roxanne. Cards that put you in a very difficult situation if you're playing against it. We're over here on Nathaniel's side now. That Lugia V-Star with a ton of damage counters in the active position, but still there's a lot of potential here for Nathaniel if he can get the cards that he needs in this turn. In the hand, there is another Lugia V. Don't see what else is there, but we're going to start off with an Archeops here, lining up some more energy.
Yeah, I think we need to check the damage on the Lugia potentially. I'm pretty sure Xander played a power tablet last turn, so there's only 190 on this. Oh, sorry, the V-Guard energy. How could I forget? Yeah, V-Guard energy is going to cancel out the power tablet pretty much, so we are good to go.
That's true. VMAX Pokemon do count as V Pokemon as well. It sometimes gets a little confusing for people, but yeah. Vs, VMAX, they all fall under the same umbrella of V Pokemon. So that is protecting Nathaniel's Lugia V-Star from taking that additional damage there. So here we go. Nathaniel shuffling through the cards here. Is that another powerful in the hand here?
Looks like it. Nathaniel is debating what to do. We could see the Aqua return, put this Lumineon back in. That could be pretty strong, and it looks like powerful energy coming down is leaning that direction. There's just really nothing working in Nathaniel's hand. Now, the benefit of Lugia is that once you set up, you're a deck that can really play from the board. You don't really mind not having the strongest options in hand because you can still accelerate a bunch of energy cards. You still want some options, though. You still want to be able to find researches. You want to be able to find Marnies to disrupt, and you want to find bosses at the right time as well, potentially.
Oh, I was going to say, that was a die that was on there, I think. Yeah, most definitely. Here we go. That Yveltal getting those 2 energy attached here. That Devil Turbo as well as a hiding dark energy to onto that Yveltal. And that Lumineon is fully loaded up there on the bench as well. So tons of alternate attackers here. Opting to go in with that Lumineon V here for this turn though.
Yeah, Nathaniel leaves a couple of powerful energies on this Lugia. It still can threaten a one-hit knockout on a Mew VMAX. And Nathaniel recognizing that puts the choice belt down. The powerful energy that's on the Lumineon currently will go back into the deck. So next turn, this Lugia V-Star could try to close the game out.
Yeah, that is huge for sure. Taking this first knockout with that Aqua return from the Lumineon V. Of course, that Lumineon V does jump straight back into the deck as well as all the cards attached, which is huge because that powerful energy was attached on there. But yeah, that is going to be 3 prize cards here on Nathaniel's side, going down to only 3 prize cards left. And like you said, Chip, there is potential there. Xander needs to have a response here in this match right now. Pal Pad being played to search 2 supporters back out of the discard pile, and they are going to get shuffled back into the deck as well. Mew V in the active position here with a double turbo already attached. Not yet a Mew V Max, though, but we'll see what Xander is able to do with this hand and some Fusion Strike systems.
Yeah, Nathaniel has made this really tough for Xander by putting energy on both the Yveltal and putting the choice belt down onto the Lugia V-Star. Nathaniel is threatening the knockout with either of those 2 Pokemon onto a Mew VMAX. So I think what Xander is going to do here is he's going to knock out this Yveltal as we see it has been brought to the active. And if he still has Lost Vacuum remaining, he can hit that and get rid of the choice belt on Nathaniel's side to make it so that this Lugia cannot one-hit KO a Mew VMAX. And actually now that this Oricorio has come down, I think that that option may not even exist for Nathaniel anymore as if there's not 2 powerful colorless energies left in the deck.
That is true. That is a huge Pokemon to come down onto the field. Now we're seeing a more traditional Mew here come out, coming out of the works with the Oricorio in play here for Xander. And then being able to knock out this Yveltal, that's a big turn here. Of course, only going to take 1 prize card off of that Yveltal, so still going to have to pick up the other prize cards to wrap up this game. But of course, that Lugia V-Star on the bench for Nathaniel already has plenty of damage on it.
Yes. So this is what Xander is trying to set up here. I think a one-hit KO onto this Yveltal, and then maybe next turn go for a Psychic Leap KO plus a Roxanne onto the
Wow.
Lugia V-Star and really limit Nathaniel as much as possible.
That would be very powerful for sure from Xander's side of things. We are going to see another Fusion Strike system for 2 more cards. We do see the Big Charm as well, so eliminating that possibility. That's another 30 HP onto that Mew VMAX on Xander's side of things, and now that Yveltal is gone on Nathaniel's board. So just wiped out of there. Another prize card as well for Xander going down, and Nathaniel is going to have to promote a Pokemon here, hesitating on the Lugia V-Star, but I don't think there's much choice.
Yeah, got to be the Lugia most likely here. Try to hit as hard as you can and just hope that there's not much Xander can do. Actually, it seems like Archeops may be the play.
Switching up into that Archeops. You know, we have seen the Archeops attack as well before. Its speed wing does 120, unless there's any sort of modifiers on it. Like a double turbo would bring it down another 20 into 100, but it is a potential attacker too. Don't discount that Archeops just yet. But we are seeing Evolution Incense searching out another Archeops here, thinning through the deck for Nathaniel.
I think if Nathaniel could attack with the Raikou here, that would be pretty strong. Take out the Oricorio on the bench and put damage onto the Mew VMAX so that even if Xander does use the Psychic Leap and get a knockout on Lugia and Roxanne, do everything he can, you at least can take 2 prizes onto a Genesector and Mew potentially to close out the game. But it doesn't look like Nathaniel will have that option. Oh, actually did have both the powerfuls left, so he could have reached for this KO if it wasn't for the big charm that Xander was able to hit. That is insane.
That is absolutely wild. I mean, we sort of saw that coming because that's what it was looking like was being lined up, but it's just not able to be carried out here, unfortunately.
So Nathaniel can win this turn. He just needs to find Lost Vacuum. If he can find Lost Vacuum, he can get rid of the big charm. He does play 2 copies of the card, and then he would be able to take a knockout on to this Mew.
Birdkeeper.
It's just 3 cards. It's not a research, so you're not seeing as many as you maybe would otherwise.
Here we go.
1, 2. Oh, it does not hit it here.
2 quick balls and a Lugia V. That is definitely not a Lost Vacuum. Not what you're wanting to see. That would have been huge, Chip. A giant play there for Nathaniel, but Birdkeeper, only just a couple of cards, unfortunately.
Does have one more option. Can have a last-ditch effort with Oranguru here. Go for the Primate Wisdom. See 1 card, and there are... it looks like just 1 copy of Lost Vacuum I saw remaining there in the deck.
Oh my goodness.
Could thin 1 more card out. I think there is a quick ball in the hand, but I mean, this isn't what, maybe this is what Nathaniel has to go for here, because Xander is almost certainly going for the Psychic Leap play next turn. He does need a bit to pull it off, but we'll see what happens here with the Primate Wisdom.
Oh, it's an Evolution Incense, not the Lost Vacuum that we were searching for Nathaniel, but every single stop was pulled there for on Nathaniel's side. All those powerful energies, oh, you hate to see it. The Choice Belt, everything needed, but just not gonna come up with the knockout, unfortunately. Just a little bit short there, and Xander's just gonna take a ton of damage.
Yeah, put here. Like 8 dice on this Pokemon.
Look at this. Oh my gosh. So many dice, and then it's all gonna go away, sadly. 4 Seal Stone being put down onto that Genesect via a card that also just allows Mew to run away sometimes. Just a card that fits perfectly into the Mew VMAX deck.
And it will be the Roxanne played right away on Xander's side. So he's going to see 6 cards. He's going to have Fusion Strike systems, and he's going to have Forest Seal Stone in order to pull off a massive Psychic Leap into the deck to take a KO here. He needs to deal, what, 90 damage to this active Lugia in order to make that happen.
And then, of course, Nathaniel is going to be disrupted down to only 2 cards in the hand as well off that Roxanne. So such a strong card as well for this deck.
So I think Xander got almost everything he needs. I think he's just 1 power tablet.
There's a Cram
away. So let's see if he can hit this.
Oof,
doesn't hit.
It's gonna be a Tails, unfortunately, and the Cram was discarded to the Cram-O-Matic. So no other Cram coming down here. Power tablet is gonna be put into play though for the turn. And we are gonna see a switch cart as well.
Fusion Strike system drawing a few He does, of course, have the Forest Seal Stone, so worst case scenario, he can just use that to go get the Power Tablet remaining. But yeah, right now he's hitting for 80 damage with a Psychic Leap, and after this next turn, after using a Forest Seal Stone, if he doesn't draw into it naturally, he'll be able to get that last modifier in order to take this knockout. Psychic Leap back into the deck and leaving Nathaniel with just 2 cards.
Yeah, this is a huge turn here for Xander. Such a powerful deck that he chose to bring to this tournament, and it is playing out here on the table right now against the Lugia. All right, so looking at these cards in hand, what do we see? In another Muvia VMAX, I believe a Battle VIP, which is just kind of a dead card at this point in time.
Yep, and sure enough, Forest Seal Stone does grab Power Tablet. This will boost the damage just enough. Psychic Leap will put this VMAX back into the deck to take this 310 damage out of play.
Yeah, of course, Psychic Leap only doing a base of 70 without those modifiers, so just enough here with these Power Tablets. That Forest Seal Stone able to search out any card from the deck is huge. And we're going to see this knockout here on this Lugia V-Star going down. Xander's going to take 2 prize cards from that, leaving Nathaniel with just an Archeops in the active position, 2 cards in hand.
Xander really debating what he wanted to send up. Looks like Oricorio will get the nod as Nathaniel promotes Archeops on his side. Xander, after shuffling that Mew back in, having just 2 prizes left. Nathaniel with 2 energy in hand does draw into a Professor's Research for turn.
Here we go. That's good, at least. You're going to see some more cards at a very minimum. But you do, of course, have to discard what's already in your hands, which it looks like it's a double turbo and another energy, I believe, as well. Archeops.
So I think for Nathaniel, what you have to hope here is you have to hope that Xander does not have Echoing Horn and Boss in combination, and that you can just take a 1 prize knockout into a Boss 2 prize KO, potentially, with a Charizard on something like a Genesect. And looking at Xander's list, you know, when you're trying to fit things like Manaphy and you're trying to fit things like Aerodactyl V-Star, you've got to make some cuts somewhere. And it seems like one of the cuts for Xander this weekend was the Echoing Horn. There is no Echoing Horn in his Mew list, which is something that we've seen be pretty standard in many players' lists.
Yeah, it helps you out in so many different matchups to close out those games at the last second.
Nathaniel doesn't have any energy remaining in the deck. He chose to play Research and drew these cards already.
Yeah, I was about to say that. Yeah,
I wonder if he drew into any energies.
So what happened was the Oranguru actually placed the double turbo back to the top of the deck. And then the Aurora energy was placed for turn onto the Archeops as well for turn. And then the Research was played to draw back into those energies. So
maybe what Nathaniel needed to do was to use the Primal Turbo initially.
Yeah,
right before playing the Research. I don't know how many energies he drew. Yeah, it looks like he drew an Aurora energy, which would have allowed him to get this KO. Yeah, it couldn't have been the double turbo because Oricorio actually would only have taken 80 damage.
Yeah.
So it had to have been the Aurora, and so now Nathaniel just has to pass.
That is so tough. Just a little bit of different sequencing, and maybe we would have seen something play out different there, but that is how things are going in this match so far for Nathaniel. That is rough to see for sure.
Yeah, this is really an interesting spot because Xander is out of almost all of his switch cards, I think. So
oh, no.
He's played a switch card, he's played a switch, and he's played an escape rope. That's what he plays. There's also no cross switchers in his deck, which is something else we've seen be normal in the Mew VMAX deck. Once again, if you're trying to make space for all this crazy stuff, something's got to get cut.
That's true. Yeah, and cross switchers are definitely a huge cut. I feel like that is also a very staple card in this particular version of the Mew VMAX deck too. So that was a huge cut there from Xander, and that is now why we're seeing this Oricorio is going to have to either be knocked out or hard retreat out of the active position.
Yeah, this is a pretty scuffed game at this point, honestly, for both of these players. Like, things are really not going to either player's game plans. They're both having to kind of adjust on the fly. And these are honestly some of my favorite games of Pokemon. Anyone can play their deck whenever everything goes according to plan, but whenever things don't fall in the right order, what do you do? How do you adapt? That's what separates the good players from the great.
Yeah, that is definitely true. So we're back over here on Nathaniel's side. We are going to see that Primate Wisdom here off of the Oranguru to switch a card from the hand to the top of the deck. This is another reason Oranguru is so good in this deck because you can put your energies back into your deck to be able to search them out with the Archeops. So a mistake can be corrected here potentially for Nathaniel, getting that Aurora energy back out of the deck.
And then that double turbo is in hand, so he could
Yep.
attach it to the active to retreat. The problem then becomes you're out of energy, and you've just told Xander you're out of energy as well, because last turn
true.
you used primal turbo, shook your head, and did nothing. So Xander probably is going to work on the assumption that there's not many energies left, and I think that's what Xander's counting right there in the discard pile.
Yeah, I think that is definitely a strong possibility, Chip, for sure. So we are going to see that double turbo come down onto the Oranguru to be able to retreat out of it. Oranguru jumping back onto the bench here to go into that Archeops with the 3 energy on it now. So speed wing, able to hit for 120.
I wonder if as Nathaniel you should play boss and hope that you can 2-hit KO a Genesect and that Xander doesn't have a way to move it.
Oh yeah, that's true. I mean, at this point,
I don't even know if it matters, though, to be honest. Like, it depends on what Nathaniel has in his prizes. I don't think I've seen the Charizard just yet. Yeah, I think the Charizard is still remaining in the prizes, most likely. So if there's a Charizard plus an Aurora or a Heat Fire Energy, something like that.
So we are going to see the boss here come into play to boss up that Genesect.
Yeah, it's going to deal 130 damage.
Yep.
After the Choice Belt and the Oricorio, all the damage modifiers going on. Now, Xander can switch the Genesect. It's going to involve him using Silene to put back a switching card. This is definitely a mess.
Yeah. I mean, but at least I guess there's ways to clean it up, but it is going to take some cards here. We need to see some heads. Ooh, that is not one.
And that is not one either.
2 tails for Xander there off the Silene, so not able to retrieve back any of those switching cards. That Genesect is going to be stuck in the active position there.
He does have a double turbo energy, so there is a world where he just attaches and retreats.
Oh gosh.
I mean, Xander should know that Nathaniel just doesn't have much because he's not done anything. But, I mean, he's checked the discard pile multiple times. So you know that if there's a possible combination of cards that Nathaniel could be playing, Xander is aware of it. And Xander feels like he can just attach, pass, and even if Nathaniel takes this knockout, he'll be okay.
All right. Going with that assumption there on Xander's side. Hopefully that's how it plays out for him. But we're back over on the side of Nathaniel here. That Archeops still just hanging out. Taking some attacks here with that speed wing, having a casual time.
Stoutland being grabbed from the deck is just going to be thinned out with an Ultra Ball here, it looks like.
Thinned out. Thinning is winning in the Pokemon trading card game, that is for sure. We're going to see that Luminion V as well pulled out of the deck off of one of those Ball Search cards. And Nathaniel now just shuffling up. Xander taking a peek into that huge discard pile. This game has gone pretty long here, Chip. We only have 17, a little under 18 minutes left on the clock here for our players, and neither of them have taken a win yet for this first game.
Yeah, I wonder if there's a world as Nathaniel, and he's probably checking the resources from Xander, where you just try to stall out the game with a boss, right? You just pass here, don't take this knockout. Looks like Nathaniel will take the KO, though, so that's not going to be quite an option. Charizard is the last remaining prize as well.
Charizard being in the prize cards is so unfortunate here for Nathaniel, but there's not really much energy either left in the deck for Nathaniel either.
So yeah, Nathaniel had an energy and the Charizard prize. So if he had drawn into the Charizard and the energy, theoretically there could have been a play for him in order to pull that attack off. Now, I don't know if he has a way to get the Charizard in the active necessarily, but it's not even going to be an option anymore since Charizard remains in the prizes.
That is so unfortunate. Just an unfortunate way to draw the prize cards, or unfortunate way they were placed, I suppose. That's how the cookie crumbles. But we are back over onto Xander's side of the board now, starting off with the Rotom Phone here. So one of those top 5 cards is going to be placed back to the top of the deck after it's reshuffled. And then Xander's going to be able to draw into it as long as there are cards that are able to be thinned out of the hand equal to the amount of Fusion Strike Pokemon that are in play to use that Fusion Strike system.
Yep, looks like he'll be able to draw at least 1, now 2 or 3 since that Genesect comes down.
Yep. Yeah, that Aerodactyl V-Star just kind of been dead in the hand like this entire game pretty much. But could be some discard fodder here very soon, because there's now an Ultra Ball in the hand for Xander as well, and that's what we're going to see. Aerodactyl V-Star and that Battle VIP Pass, 2 very easy discards here for Xander to just get him out of the hand so you can draw into even more cards.
Yeah, as Xander, I think you're feeling pretty good that if this Archeops goes down, your opponent might just be out of options. And if that's the case, you just want to thin as much as possible, make sure that no matter what your opponent does, that if they go for a boss's order stall play, you're going to have the ability to go fetch out your last energy card to retreat. And Xander, I think, is playing to all of these options.
Yep, so we are going to see that Fusion Strike system draw into even more cards here. Path to the Peak is going to come down.
And that's going to shut off a potential Luminion option from Nathaniel.
True. Very true. So that's kind of a big card here for Xander as well. Another Battle VIP dead card in the hand. Unfortunately, double turbos in the hand now. There is a Judge as well. Ooh, Big Charm, 2.
Yep, plenty of different options. I mean, all of a sudden, this has been a 35-minute game number one. Right? It doesn't really feel like this game has gone that long, but it really is dragging out here.
Yeah, both players have been put in very peculiar positions here. It's just going very wonky, that is for sure. Definitely not how you expect this matchup to usually be played out. But here we go. We are going to see that retreat off of the Mew VMAX. So as an active, of course, it does have free retreat costs. Another reason such a dominant deck as well. And going back over to Nathaniel here as Xander goes down to 1 prize card. So we are now 1 prize card to 1 prize card for both of our players here in this match.
Yep, looks like we're just making sure everything is A-OK. Lost Vacuum does get rid of that Path to the Peak. And now Luminion can fetch out a Serena. So this is going to be Nathaniel's last-ditch effort here. Serena, bring up a Genesect. And Xander, with only a card or 2 remaining in the deck, just hope that there is no resource left to go for any sort of retreat play.
That would be such a rough way to lose, but that is probably what we're going to be seeing here if Xander has no other ways to pull anything out. And we're going to see the last card being drawn for turn from Xander.
Hang on a second, though, because Nathaniel also put a Lugia V in the active. It's got 220 hit points, and Xander is out of damage modifier. So Xander needs to put a card back in his deck somehow. I think he does have Judge available still. He's just counting exactly how everything works. And he's going to need to go for a 2-hit knockout, and also at the same time hope that Nathaniel does not have another boss's orders. This game is not over, Shelby.
What is happening here in this match? We are going to see that double turbo come down onto the Genesect V. A Judge. Both of these players are going to shuffle their cards back into their deck and draw 4 each. So Xander's going to have another card left in the deck.
If Nathaniel has another boss or a Serena, he will win this game. Xander is out of ways to retreat Genesects from the active spot. Let's see what Nathaniel draws for turn. It is the boss! And he can bring up a Genesect, and Xander Perot is left with no options, no ways to switch anything out of the active, and he is going to deck out. Xander Perot loses game 1, and Nathaniel finds that 1 small % way to get back in and finds a way to steal a game.
That was absolutely incredible, Chip. You know, there's very few times we get that moment where the top deck is the card, the exact card they need at that moment. And that's just how it played out for Nathaniel there, drawing straight into that boss's orders. Xander knew exactly. I mean, you saw Xander look at the board and move up the Genesect and was just absolutely defeated after that. You know, this was such a long game, only 12 minutes left on the clock for these players. And that was a wonky match, like I said, Chip.
Yeah, 12 minutes left, and you could see it on Xander's face. That is a tough game to lose. It came so close. You used every possible resource in your deck at what seemed like the right time, and things just didn't quite fall as they needed to, and we have to think back and remember to that Silene.
I was about to say with the Silene,
2 tails on Silene, and that might have been the difference in that game, because on the Silene, he almost certainly would have gotten back a switch card, meaning he would have had 1 more out remaining in the deck.
I can see it now, the people at home. Oh, coin flip deck, you know, for because that's sometimes really what it comes down to with these coin flips. You know, the crams, the Silenes. There's a lot of coin flips that happen here in this Mew deck sometimes, and if they don't go your way, they can put you in a pretty rough spot. And that was just unfortunate. Unfortunately, how it played out there for Xander, but there is still some time left. Look at that, Lugia V-Star.
Double Lugia V-Star, double Lugia V. Now, thankfully for Nathaniel, he has chosen to play a 3-3 Lugia V-Star line. Many players have opted for a 3-2 Lugia V-Star line. People are getting really greedy with their Lugia lines this weekend. So Nathaniel will still have the option to get a Lugia V-Star out, and you really only need one Lugia V-Star in play, at least at the beginning of the game, and so Nathaniel can breathe a sigh of relief. It's just going to be a question of, is he able to find those pieces now?
Yeah, and that is potentially going to be an uphill battle depending on what is in the hand for Nathaniel. So that is what it's really going to come down here in the first couple of turns of setup. But we are starting over on Xander's side here, kicking off the second game in our set, our best of 3, Nathaniel versus Xander Perot. Swiss round 8 here, 10 minutes left on the clock, and we're starting off with a cram into a battle VIP pass, a great place that you want to be here if you're Xander. So, Chip, we talked about this Aerodactyl. It's kind of mainly put into this deck specifically for Lugia, really. That is the one matchup that you can utilize it as. Are we going to potentially see it here? We're going to see another cram. That is what we're going to see. A heads on that cram.
And got to think this will get another VIP pass, and we'll almost definitely see the Aerodactyl V come down. Yeah, this is one of the main matchups you want it for. It is actually kind of funny because it does work as well as a Drapion counter if you think your opponent is playing a Drapion, right?
That's true.
So
I didn't even think about that. Wow. Oh, that is so silly to see, Chip. I didn't think I'd be seeing that today, but here we go. Aerodactyl V in a Mew VMAX deck being placed onto the bench here by that Battle VIP pass for Xander Perot. And that Forest Seal Stone's going to come out as well and be placed onto the Genesect V. So just another way you can search through your deck, draw any card that you want. This is huge.
Yep, Xander does get one less card for each of these draws because Fusion Strike system allows you to draw for each of your Fusion Strike Pokemon in play, and Aerodactyl V is noticeably not a Fusion Strike Pokemon. So we'll kick it back to Nathaniel's side of things. It looks like he will have ways to get a Lugia V down. Does have that Quick Ball in hand, but first we'll go with an Ultra Ball, likely to grab out an Archeops.
So when you're Nathaniel at this point in time, because we never saw the Aerodactyl V or V-Star, I think, being played from Xander in the, oh no, we saw it discarded. So so Nathaniel already knows Aerodactyl is a possibility here from Xander's deck, and that is really what he's going to be working against here. It is a race to be able to get to your resources before your opponent locks you out of them. But I don't even see a way that it's possible for Xander to not lock Nathaniel out of that. If that Aerodactyl V-Star, that's all he needs.
So Nathaniel will play the Ultra Ball. This will get the Aerodactyl most likely. I was thinking,
Archeops.
There's Aerodactyl, Archeops. All these prehistoric bird Pokemon, excuse me. And we'll get discarded right away. And now we see the Quick Ball going to probably fetch, I would have thought a Lugia, but now looking at Nathaniel's hand a little bit, it's pretty weak. I think it has to be Lumineon most likely in order to refresh this hand.
Yeah, you're going second. You have to really play off of what you get in your beginning hands, and there is really not much there, I believe, on Nathaniel's side of things. So, but it is going to be a Quick Ball. Oh, no, actually going back in. Yeah, deciding to do the Lumineon V. Oh, it looks like...
Yeah, it looks like the Lugia V hit the bench, and so now it's going to stay in play there.
Card laid's a card played, I suppose. Lugia V going back. Xander saying, nope, I guess you drew that, or you already drew out the Lugia V, so that's what's going to come down. Capture Energy being attached to it. Of course, this Capture Energy can take out a basic Pokemon from the deck to be placed directly onto the bench, so you can't utilize the Lumineon off of that because the Lumineon has to be played from hand to be able to utilize the ability that allows you to draw out a supporter there, that luminous sign. So this Capture Energy is going to be played for a different basic Pokemon from the deck. We could see another Lugia V, and Rangaru's already in play here for Nathaniel. So we'll see what's going to come down. Radiant Charizard as well. I always forget about that Radiant Charizard.
Yep, and Nathaniel was missing it last game as well, being
true.
remaining in the prizes. So going to be a nice one to go ahead and see that it is available. Put it into play, why not? Can't get a Lugia, we know.
I was about to say, yeah, there actually can't be a Lugia because two of them are in the prize cards, unfortunately. Oh, that is rough to see. But yeah, that is the lone Lugia that is in the deck here for Nathaniel. So important to note as well. We're going to see the Lost Vacuum. So discarding that Lost City into the Lost Zone, as well as an Aurora Energy on Nathaniel's side into the Lost Zone too.
Actually, he's going to get rid of
the Forest Seal Stone.
The Forest Seal Stone. It's kind of interesting too because Forest Seal Stone is not really a card Xander wants to use, right? Because you can only use one V-Star power.
Yeah, you can only use one V-Star power,
right?
Yeah.
And he wants to use the Aerodactyl.
Yeah, that is definitely important. Even though the Forest Seal Stone is a tool card, it does still count as a V-Star power. So you can either utilize that when you're playing from the Mew point of view or that Aerodactyl V-Star ability, which is definitely the one we're going to be seeing here from Xander, that's for sure.
And I think Xander is definitely starting to feel the burden of, we see Marnie actually drawn off of the Oranguru for Nathaniel. I was going to say, I think Xander is starting to feel the burden of having a non-Fusion Strike Pokemon in play because he's just getting one less card every single time.
Yep.
Just forced to pass on his last turn.
Super clunky for sure. It can get you into some weird hands. If you're not able to discard enough cards, if you don't draw into those discard cards that dwindle your hand down to less, then you're not going to be able to draw to your full capability with that Aerodactyl kind of clogging up your bench there. So Xander going to use an Escape Rope here. So Oranguru coming into the active, Xander switching into that Mew VMAX, double turbo going down, quick ball discarding a power tablet.
Yeah, I think as Xander, you maybe want to just try to go after the Lugia V on the bench this turn. And discarding the power tablet is a little interesting to me because you need a damage modifier. So I don't know what this last card is. Oh,
it's another power tablet.
Another power tablet. So there you go.
And another power tablet.
Xander really hoping for boss here. Let's see if he can find it. He really wants it. Does not hit. 5
cards, but no boss here. Also moving very fast because there's only 4 minutes on the clock here, and Nathaniel is up a game, so Xander needs to be able to pull out this win to at least take the tie. Otherwise, if we run out of time, Nathaniel's going to take the win because of that first game being taken.
Yeah, Xander's an absolute veteran of the game, so he definitely is aware of the time situation. We've seen him, really wanting to make sure this game is moving along so far in this match. We're seeing power tablet play, drawing more cards, looking for the boss. Does find Cramomatic, needs to hit a heads here. If he can hit a heads and take this knockout, I think he's in a great spot, and he does hit heads.
Yes, there we go. It was off of the field there, but that is a heads for Xander Perot, being able to search out a card off of that Cramomatic. Yeah. Such a strong card in this deck.
Who cares about using Aerodactyl V-Star whenever you can just take out the Lugia V and cut off your opponent's entire option? And let's not forget, Nathaniel actually prized 2 Lugia V. So there is actually no way to get a Lugia out. There is no way to Summoning Star this game. But there's only 3 minutes left. There's no way. It's going to be manual attachments turn after turn here for Nathaniel. Capture Energy can pull a card out of the deck here, but with less than 3 minutes remaining, the question becomes, can Xander take his 4 remaining prize cards before the game is just over?
Oh, this is coming down to the wire, Chip. This is a game you love to see. This is why I love casting Pokemon. This is why I love playing Pokemon and watching Pokemon, because this is absolutely riveting right now. Nathaniel being put into a corner here, not having any Lugia V, not having any Archeops.
He scoops. Nathaniel decides to concede this game.
With 2 minutes left.
2 minutes left for game number 3, and Xander Perot breathes a sigh of relief, knowing that he will at least get 1 match point here.
Wow, yeah, if this next game does not conclude, both of these players are going to take a tie for this, which is much better of a position than having to take a loss, especially in such a rough time that happened in that first game for Xander.
Yeah, I wonder if, as Nathaniel, he should have just tried to play that game out and hope that time was going to be close enough to where he would, you know, ultimately be the winner of a 1-0 match.
I know,
which
yeah.
it wouldn't, I mean, I'm not talking about slow playing, but I'm talking about just putting high
Pokemon
HP Pokemon
down,
into the active, put the Stoutland up into the active spot,
True.
and make it harder for Xander to KO and make it harder for Xander to take those remaining prizes to close out the game.
Yeah, because you got to think with the shuffling time being factored in, you know, we're not pausing the clock for either of these players to shuffle up and get dealt into the next game. So the time is ticking down here, and I don't think there's going to be enough time here, Chip, for either of these players to conclude a game unless we see something absolutely
Someone
wild.
get really unlucky.
Yeah, happen. Which, I mean, is always a possibility. You can never count it out, that is for sure. But less than a minute now on the clock for these players.
Prize cards are being set out. Power tablet in the prizes for Xander. That's something to consider. A switch card, we saw those be very important in the first game, so that is a big deal as well.
Yeah, I think there's only, like you said, like 3 options to switch out in the deck. Of course, that's if you aren't able to utilize the Silene to get some out. That's just going to be a Raikou in the active position and pass over to Xander to run away with this.
Yeah, he's going to play as fast as possible. His opponent did not bench a Lugia. He did nothing pretty much. So Xander, he's got to play his game. He's got to play cards out still at least, but does flip the tails and will shuffle it up now, and I think it will just have to be a pass back to Nathaniel with just 15 seconds left. I think it's most likely Xander is going to be turn 0 here.
Yeah, I think so too. We shall see, though.
Especially with the Rotom phone, yeah, it's 100% Xander turn 0.
Yep, so it's what it's going to look like. Time is about to be called for these players.
Yep, as the shuffle is happening.
Yeah. All right, so we are going to see that Rotom phone being played, so able to slow down a little bit once you know you're into turns, but we are going to see that Fusion Strike system drawing for up to 4 cards in the hand. That Mew V is coming down as well. There's Aerodactyl V-Star in the hand, which is not useful at this point in time. There's no Aerodactyl V out. I believe there was, I think, a Path to the Peak there and an Ultra Ball, but Ultra Ball is going to discard both of those cards in hand.
Yeah, and I think for Xander, he's recognizing that if he's turn 0, he only gets 1 more turn, meaning he gets 1 turn to attack. So the only way he wins this game is if next turn Nathaniel does not bench a Pokemon. So Path to the Peak, Aerodactyl, they do him no good in this spot. It doesn't matter if you're turning off your opponent's ability. You're hoping that the only way, the only thing your opponent can do is leave this Raikou in play and pass.
Yeah, some interesting cards being drawn. I saw a lot of power tablets in that hand, that is for sure. But I think this is another Ultra Ball here.
I do have a feeling that this may all be for naught, because I'm pretty sure Nathaniel has a Pumpkaboo in hand. So worst case scenario, all Nathaniel has to do is bench the Pumpkaboo and pass. And if he does that, Xander has no way to win the game. He only gets 1. He's turn 0 currently. It's +3 turns. So Xander will be turn 0 and turn 2. And Xander doesn't have a way to take a knockout on 2 Pokemon on turn 2 of the game.
Yeah, so that is what most likely we're going to see, the Pumpkaboo once it hits the bench. We might see the scoop up here. We'll see Nathaniel with the top deck. Yep, there is the Pumpkaboo in the hands.
Yep.
And that's going to be benched straight away there on Nathaniel's side. Marnie is going to be played here. So both these players just playing out the turns at this point in time. Wow, this has been a wild 2 games here, Chip.
Absolutely. Now, they're still playing it out, so we don't know if there's necessarily like a gentleman's agreement or something like that in play here. Maybe if these players said like, hey, I don't want to tie this round. Let's say whoever's ahead in the board state or who has the most prizes taken at the end of turns gets the win. And if that's the case, that might be what these players are still playing it out for.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't factor that in. You are able to make those in your Pokemon trading card games with your opponents. So that could be what happens here.
Yep.
Who knows, Nathaniel, like I said, just still playing it out here. Now we're back over to Xander. So this is turn 2 now in turns.
So Xander here is looking for a boss's orders KO on the Lugia. He wants to show that he is going to be in a dominant position in this game if it was to complete.
Oh, yeah.
He needs a boss's orders, a Mew VMAX, and also a power tablet in order to pull all of that off. He can thin a decent amount of cards out here.
All right, yeah, definitely. Playing that stadium, thinning it, or thinning the Lost Vacuum to just discard the stadium back out of play. We're going to see the PAL pad being played as well. So just dwindling down the hand as much as possible to be able to draw into as many cards. To get those cards, put Xander into as powerful of a position as possible if that gentleman's agreement is in play for these players. So another Fusion Strike system.
There's the Mew VMAX.
Yep.
Needs to find the boss still. I don't see it in that hand. I can at least go get it with the Forest Seal Stone, but does need to find a power tablet still. So it needs boss and power tablet. It needs to draw into one of those two pieces off of this last Fusion Strike system here.
This is coming down to it, Chip. Are we going to see either of those two cards from this Fusion Strike system? Only one chance left. Let's see.
5 cards drawn. Needs one of the two. There's the power tablet. And Forest Sealstone can go fetch the boss. So
here we
this
go.
could be Xander saying, hey, I don't think I would have lost this game. Now, Nathaniel, I mean, we don't know what's in play or not for either of these two players as far as that agreement.
Yeah.
As far as we know, this game is going to end in a tie here in this spot, regardless of this play from Xander. But it feels good to at least play it out and say, hey, you know what? This is what maybe would have happened if things had gone a little differently.
Yeah.
If we had a little bit more time.
Most definitely. So there we go. Power tablet. We did see that boss here as well. Lugia V going down. Xander taking 2 prize cards off of that Lugia V. And this is now the last turn for Nathaniel's side.
Yep. Nathaniel will be turn 3 here. This is the last turn
in total
of the game.
Yeah.
Yes, that is it. So whatever ends up happening here, Nathaniel will likely end up just passing. No real option to attack or anything like that. Lost Vacuum will at least get rid of that big charm and research drawing 7. We're playing it out here, seeing what's going to happen, but feeling like a tie to me.
Looking like a tie to me, Chip.
I think that is a safe bet. The double incense, that's got to feel pretty nice.
Okay,
Yep.
yeah, that's always nice to see if you're playing at Lugia for sure. Getting both those Archeops, especially having a way to discard them. Of course, that Lugia V has just been put into play on Nathaniel's side. So Ultra Ball is going to discard both those Archeops. Wow, that feels good, I'm sure. Ultra Ball targeting 2 Archeops.
That's what Lugia players dream about right
I know,
there.
right?
Ultra Ball discarding 2 Archeops.
So good. All right, that Radiant Charizard is going to come down onto the field, and that's it. That was our last turn of the game. So what it's looking like here is a tie between these 2 players. But I must say, Chip, those games were riveting.
That was some wacky stuff happening, without a doubt. We see the match slip being passed to the players, and does indeed look like tie is being circled here. So both of these players will move to a 5-1-2 record, meaning they'll be playing a win and in on the next round.
Ooh, pressure's on.
Either of them can get a win, then they'll move on to day 2 still. But man, it feels so tough for that game to really, it feels like it's game 1 definitely slipped away from Xander.
I know, and it was right at the last second too. It was looking so good for so long, and then of course that top deck of the boss's order. You know, usually you see it for a gust for a knockout, but there it was just a gust for a stall and a deck out, which is also pretty rare to see sometimes too. But you know, Mew VMAX, you're playing a lot of cards in that deck, so it's always a possibility.
It's been a long time since like a gust stall play has been a viable strategy, it feels like, in a Pokemon TCG game. I mean, ever since Guzma came out, it feels like players really didn't think about that as an option too much because every deck played Guzma. So that was your free way to switch out of those situations.
Yeah,
and now,
that's true.
So many decks in the format in the last couple of years have just